Hambassadors is brought to you by Stark, and the big news on one of their properties made is New Zealand-owned design brand Cheetah is moving in, bringing their stunning locally designed textiles, lighting and furniture to Hamilton East.
Yep, they open on August 30th, joining a lineup of considered refined offerings, marking a fresh new reconfiguration of Made.
Yeah, some of our favourites like Pasta Paradiso, Meze, Good Fittings and Red Kitchen have all shifted into new spots to make room for Cheetah. Plus, there's that brand new croissanterie Butter Boom down by the sheds next to Grey Roasting. My tip, give the almond croissant a whirl. You won't regret it.
Made keeps evolving, so get down to Hamilton East and check it out for yourself. Tell them we sent you. Welcome to the latest episode of Hambassadors, our show that takes you behind the scenes of the Between Two Beers podcast. How are we doing today, Shay?
You rattled me earlier.
Yeah.
Because you walked through like there was nothing doing.
Yeah.
But you had moisturiser all like it was zinc, like you were Chris Pringle in the 90s with a brand new ball.
Chris Kringle. Yeah.
How long have you been moisturised? That really threw me.
Yeah, I haven't done it for about 40 years. But if I can speak my truth,
please.
My beautiful wife Bonnie came to bed with a mask on the other day, which is kind of a new thing for her.
After you took the girls' get off stuff home.
Nah, come on, man. No. And I said, nah, you know what?
Nah, carry on.
I don't know if we're
I'm
recording
interested in your
today.
skincare routine. Carry on.
I don't know if we're doing this
Carry
today.
on.
And I said, what's that? And she said, would you like one? And I made an impulse. And I said, yeah, I would.
Mm.
And so I got a mask on and it revitalized my face. And then, yeah, look, I got a little moisturizer. Put some on.
I think it's great.
Because I was swimming this morning.
Yeah.
And my skin dries out.
Did you remember your
after
goggles
swimming.
today?
It did.
After yesterday's goggle debacle.
Yeah, it did.
That's very in. Very in.
So yeah.
Because I've been mentioning to you that you're a little bit flaky, but it just fell on deaf ears. Is it all about timing with you as to when you pick up a message?
Well, I knew we were recording today, so I didn't want dry skin for the cameras.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, look.
Whereas if it's just me and you in the office all day, I don't care if I've got dry skin. I'll probably prefer it to be dry if I know it annoys you a little bit.
You're only as good as the standards you walk past.
Speaking of annoying people,
don't do this.
No, I think we both made a bit of a real mess of the bin bean thing in the last Hambassadors episode.
Don't drag me into the. Don't drag me into the
You're
bean.
only as good as the thing you walk past,
that's
and
true.
you've walked past it.
Yeah.
We made this big song and dance about how it's below our standards to say bin instead of bean.
It was brought to our attention.
And in the very next segment,
literally the next sentence, you went straight to bin.
And we got a lot of feedback. People were not happy.
Yeah,
they were pissed off.
It was caught in studio straight away, and cameraman Sam sat on it, didn't out us. Yeah. And let the audience.
Actually, cameraman Sam, if you hear us say bin in this episode, can you just put a little hand up?
That'd be good.
Because I think we need to correct this behaviour.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a bit of a challenging day last week, didn't we?
This is where I thought you were going straight away. I forgot about the bin bean.
No. Last Monday, we both lost a day to admin.
Yeah.
You to emails, me to YouTube.
Yeah. 9 a.m. my Outlook decided that it just didn't want to play ball anymore.
Yeah.
And it disappeared. And if you know anything about me, you know I run a very organized email system of folders, and everything disappeared.
Yeah.
And I've been on Gmail. I spent the whole day trying to resync, uninstall, reinstall, and I got nowhere. And I'm still operating in a state of flux. Whereas you were trying to untangle the YouTube monetization.
I don't think there's anything quite as frustrating as having a day where you're trying to get a head start on the week and you've got a lot to get through, and then you lose like 4 hours down one rabbit hole that you just can't pull yourself out of.
You were
I was
angry.
pissed
You
off.
were angry.
Because we haven't monetized our YouTube channel, and I'm realizing we're leaving money on the table. But there's a really complex,
more than money on the table,
like back end system I had to go through, AdSense and tax brackets, and they put money in an account. I had to verify it, and it was the wrong number, and it threw me.
Thankfully, you've resolved it now. a week and a half later.
It's on today's list.
The other thing which was compounding my frustration was we are in the B studio today because the A studio next door is getting fitted out. But in order to fit out the A studio, we had to move everything into the office, and it was chaotic. and my brain doesn't operate very well in chaos.
No, it doesn't. Whereas mine does. I quite like chaos.
You kind of block it out.
Yeah. I like this. All this shit everywhere.
Yeah, and there was shit everywhere.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't. I felt like it was a messy start to the week last week.
Yeah.
But we got 2 good records in at the end of the week.
We did. And we emceed an event at Claudeland's Event Centre. This was a dream gig, Master Builders House of the Year.
2 minutes from home.
2 minutes. Literally 2 minutes from both of our homes. A home crowd.
Yep.
And I talk on this, like, when we MC events, we normally have a bit of patter. We always, have a few gags at the start. And then we always try to get a gauge of how many people in the room listen to the podcast. And this is one of those moments we sort of talk about things moving by pretty quickly. And I sort of brought it up in our Monday meeting. And I was like, how cool was that on Friday night when we asked the room? There was, 300 odd people in the room?
Yep.
How many people listened to the Between... Give us a cheer if you listened to the Between Two Beers podcast. And the whole
it was good.
room went wild.
Yeah.
Like, shit, that was cool.
I said, we have to come up with a new start. And you're like, nah, man, let's lean into it. Like and it is a real nice ego stroke, definitely, when there's a room full of people that have heard about the podcast. It's epic.
It's an interesting room, the Builders, the House of the Year Awards, because the Builders, they are really into it. Like, it means a lot, as it should.
And rightfully so.
And they get really nervous about winning or not winning. And so a lot of them sort of hit the pub early, knock off early, have a few beersies.
A couple of looseners just in case.
And they're all, a bit of a stereotype, very nervous public speakers.
Yeah.
Not a lot were comfortable behind the mic. Not their skill set, just like I can't build a house.
Yeah, behind the hammer for us.
And there was some ropey speeches.
Yeah, I tried an entry point of like make your speeches sort of like I make love, which was I think like thoughtful, deliberate, but keep it short, keep it very, very short, and that sort of ran through the evening. But there were some very nervous. There's some very nervous.
Well, it's hard
winners.
to know if it was nervous or they're just pissed up.
Yeah, there's a fine line, isn't there, between? There was a couple there that had definitely a few schooners under the belt.
It was a fun night though, and Ian Foster was in the audience.
Yes, celebrating or supporting his son,
who won a couple of
some big awards. It was wicked.
But it was cool catching up with him and hearing his response to the pod.
Yeah,
because he said, "Lads, I don't know, like you." I've never. He actually said he'd never had so much feedback for some sort of thing he's done in the media before. And he said he'd been in Masterton the night before.
That's right.
And he said all people wanted to come and talk to him about was the podcast, and that was really cool. And then also chatting to him for 20 minutes, just kind of like an old friend. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, no, it was a real cool night. Well done, Master Builders. Bloody good night. I'd like to do it again, actually.
Nice. We're introducing a new segment, 5 Favourites. So each week we are going to come up with our 5 favourite, and we're going to start with books.
Right.
I've given you some homework. Have you done your homework?
I did my homework. Do you want to start with your list, just so I can see if there's any on yours that are on mine?
Yeah. Okay. So I've selected 5. So number 1 is Tomorrow When the War Began by John Marsden. This is like a gateway book for me.
Is that like a school?
Yeah.
Is it like an English school
book? I think like intermediate school.
Oh.
And it captured my attention. It was ordinary teenagers in extraordinary danger. It's like what you'd really do when the rules disappear. But that kind of, for me, sparked my love of reading.
I've not read that book, but is that based in Australia?
Yes.
And they made a movie out of it?
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
Never saw the movie.
Never seen the movie or read the book.
Book number 2, After the Tamper by Abbas Nazari. I would say of all of the guests we've had on, I've read a lot of their books. This one impacted me the most. I'd say like a perspective shifter.
Well, you're in your neighbourhood. You had a couple of Afghan
that's right.
neighbours.
Captures the refugee experience and the razor-thin margins between safety and catastrophe. So I had perspective shifter, but what an epic episode, what an epic human, and the book, cannot recommend it highly enough. Third one, I've gone with The Long Walk, which is a Stephen King book, but written under his pseudonym, Richard Buckman.
When I saw that, I thought that was The Long Walk to Freedom, Nelson Mandela, but it's not.
Another good book,
yeah,
I would imagine.
I've not read
it. This is like a walking competition where if you drop below a certain speed, you die. And it's like youths or young adults doing it. It's like a dystopian nightmare with all these beautiful truths about the realities when pain hits. And it has like...
When did you read that?
Years ago. And the way that I've compiled this list is which books stick out to me. It's kind of like the first 5 I think of. And like that book has stuck with me. It's such a gripping read. Loved it. The other one, When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi, who's a neurosurgeon with a terminal diagnosis. Incredibly well written about life and being deliberate, and the clock is always ticking, the way with words and the way his brain works. Exceptional. That one left a lasting impression. And Atomic Habits is my last one. This one, James Clear, is a super popular book, but it's not fluffy, it's not guru speak, but these are sort of the 1%ers, the blueprint for reshaping your life one tiny bit at a time has stuck with me, and that lists out my 5.
I bought that book for someone, and that was originally on my list, but I didn't want to do a double up. So I changed Atomic Habits to The Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good book.
I haven't read that for a long time, but that sort of explores what sets high achievers apart from others. That was one that stood out to me. The Resilience Project, I've talked about that a lot. Hugh van Cuylenburg. So he's an Aussie, has his own podcast, so I'd love to have him on. But that was recommended to me by Andrew Miller, Rug, to go and have a listen to, and that talks about gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness.
That one made a real impact on you, eh?
Yeah, like you say, like if I think about the books, like that one sticks out. I've recommended it to so many people. I've bought it for a couple of people as well. Big book. I'd love to talk to Hugh van Cuylenburg one day. Also on my list is The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. Dad used to read that to me when I was a kid almost every night, like work through the chapters. So that sticks in as like a real foundational book. For me, I can like all the characters, Bagheera, Kaa the Rock Python, and the other ones, Mowgli, I guess. A weird one on the list that made it is Don't Die with the Music in You, which is written by the rugby league coach Wayne Bennett.
Yeah.
So that was bought for me on my 21st birthday by Abby Seeley, and that's just full of like anecdotes, inspirational quotes. He quotes the poem The Man in the Glass in that book, and that was the first time I'd kind of been familiar with that. So that one has stuck with me forever. And the last one is a book called Off the Cuff, which is The Guy's Guide to Looking Good. And that is written by Carson Kressley, who was of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy fame in the late 90s, early 2000s. My brother Richie got me that to help me with my fashion sense. Yeah. And it's quite a practical guide.
What are some of the rules to live by?
Never, ever buy pleated pants. Always buy flat front slacks.
Okay. This is for all body shapes and sizes?
Yeah.
Just universal rules.
There's tips in there for all body shapes and sizes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why not pleated pants?
Because it makes you look all bunched up in the hips and thicker than you actually are.
Okay. What if you want a bit of thickness?
There's other ways.
What if you're a bit?
There's other. I'll lend you the. I'll lend you the
like
book.
The idea of being seen as a bit of a power bottom.
But that I think Richie got that. I was at uni, so it must have been like 2021, and I found it really useful.
What else have you got?
Well, in that
as rules,
as
like
rules.
Fashion rules.
There's like what shoes to wear on what occasion.
Oh yeah,
which is hence the Chelsea boot.
No Chelsea boots.
Hence the Chelsea boot.
Tie.
Yeah. All sorts.
Okay.
It's a bloody good book.
Yeah. I might grab that off you.
It's really stuck with me. I had a couple of honourable mentions as well. Recency bias, The Unlikely Doctor, Dr. Timothy Timoke. And I've always wanted to read The Alchemist, but I have never read The Alchemist.
The one I want to read, and I reckon 6 guests have mentioned it on our show, is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
Yeah.
Comes up again and again by the deepest thinkers.
Yeah.
Right?
I've tried to read it and I've tried to listen to it, and I've both times failed.
Yeah.
So
I've been recommended Infinite Jest, which is just an incredibly dense, complex book to try to get my head around. And I've tried that a couple of times and given up.
If I speak my truth too, I lean audiobook versus tangible book.
Thank you for being honest.
That's just me speaking my truth.
Okay, so that's our 5 favourites. The next new segment we're introducing is 2 Minutes With. We figured we would send a little voice note to former guests and just get their take on what's happening in their lives. So the first one we went to was Jay Reeve. Here's what I sent him.
G'day, Jay Reeve. Our audience absolutely loved our episode with you, but the feeling out there is that we may have only just scratched the surface of the Jay Reeve brain. So we had an idea for a segment for the show Hambassadors, which is 2 minutes with Jay Reeve. The ask is, Can you share something with us that you've learned, read, or listened to in the last month that has made an impact on you and might do the same for our listeners?
Nice. What did he say?
Well, more than the fellas, I just got in from a surf out on the west and I'm absolutely poked, which is a great reminder to me that I probably at 42 haven't been using my body the way that A, it deserves to be used, and B, how I should be sort of treating it. Really let things slide, which is kind of common through the middle part of the year for most of us fellas, but it was a good kick in the ass. Tangaroa as one fucking masterful teacher in the gaps in which you are missing in your life, and I got a good old-fashioned lesson today, but I loved it. And another thing that sort of popped up recently for me is I was explaining on our podcast, not for radio, how my brain works, how it sort of shoots all over the place. And I quite like that. I like the scattered approach. I like the chaos. I like the monkeys that sit in there throwing shit at each other and smashing the cymbals together. And I do a pretty good job of calming it down and sort of venting out that energy through sort of journaling some stuff. And I like to sketch a lot, and I like to have conversations and with people that inspire me. But I got inundated, absolutely inundated by people that were like, hey man, just wanted to, touch base and say, this is not a judgment thing, but when you were talking, you literally described how my brain works. And I'm not even kidding when I say I got literally over 100 messages that almost started identically, the same way as that. And the genesis of the conversation moved to the fact that, have you had a diagnosis for ADHD? Now, I'm the first person to go, fuck, don't put me into a box. Don't give me some form of categorization. Don't put a label on me. I would say that my brain, like my kid's brain, is neurodivergent. It means that it operates slightly differently, probably sits on the more creative side. I mean, it definitely sits on the more creative side as opposed to the analytical side. My idea of being organized is writing a list, then getting bored halfway through writing the list, and then just drifting off to something else. It takes me ages to focus on stuff, but when I do focus on it, I manage to knock through it quite quickly, but I'm a massive procrastinator as well. So there'll be people listening to this going, tick, 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 tick. Yes, it's exactly that. And they said that, a lot of people said that, like me, they didn't think that it was such a problem. And so they asked their partners, they asked the people that they work with if it was affecting them. And they said, hey, well, we just know that you are you and that's how you operate. But upon probably greater reflection, I realized that everybody around me is forever picking up the slack for what I'm dropping. So that being said, I'm going to book in with the GP. I think it's a great idea to have a great relationship with your GP. I've got an awesome one. See them on the reg and just see what the options are for me to see if I can sharpen it up. I'm not going to medicate myself to the point where I'm a fucking lamppost, but I will be looking into it, because if there is an opportunity to be better for other people around you and for yourself, why not try it out? So like saying, well, I'm never going to the gym, or I'm never running a marathon, I'm never doing all those things because, I don't want to be fit. Well, fitness means that you bring more energy into the space that you are in, that you can probably live longer than most, and be around the ones that you love a little bit longer. So watch this space. Let's see if we can speed up the old frontal cortex and get a little bit of focus on this ramshackle carcass I like to call my body. Go well, go long, and always up the wires.
I think one of the most contagious things about Jay is his ever evolving thirst to grow and improve and get better. And he hears of something and then he's like, yeah, fuck it.
How long was that?
3:30?
I feel I could hear the ADHD in the message, like as he was going towards one area and then off to another, and then just kind of connecting the dots as he was talking.
We've done
free thinkers. That was what I termed them last time.
We might have talked about this. We've done like 230 episodes right now. Can you pick them early?
Yeah.
The ADHD brains and how the storytelling is going to go in an episode? Yeah,
I can. And then I always find myself still falling into the same trope of asking a follow-up question and then knocking them off the tangent and going, I shouldn't have done that, because it's hard. Yeah, when you're in a conversation with somebody like that, probably like I am right now, you're just going everywhere all at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, he's clearly like a creative thinker and an incredible world-class storyteller. and sort of realizing that your brain works a certain way, I'm sure will be helpful for him. The same way that it was for our family. Remember we had Sonia Gray on?
Yeah.
This was 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
And she talked a lot about her family's neurodiverse journey. And it sort of smacked home that my son, my oldest, had ADHD. He had like the hyperactivity ADHD. And like everything she was talking about was like, oh, that's Bo. And it didn't change anything. Like it's undiagnosed. We haven't got him medicated. But it has helped me and Bon sort of just understand the way that he operates. And funnily enough, kind of similar to Jay, like Bon after this went and got her own test, and I think there's like a 24-point scale, and she got like 23 or 24.
She clocked it, didn't she?
Yeah, and then I was like, yeah, well that makes sense that why my idea of relaxing is lying on the couch watching TikToks, and hers is painting the whole interior of the house.
Yeah.
And yeah, I went through and so for my son who's 8, it's like it's so glaringly obvious. It's the hyperactivity. It's constantly fidgeting or tapping or squirming. Like we'll eat dinner, the rest of the family will be at the table. His feet will be over the edge of the chair. Can't stay seated when expected. Talks excessively. Interrupts often. Climbs around, moves around. Blurts out answers before a question is finished. Has difficulty waiting their turn in games. Like all of these things. Like oh, tick 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 tick. So yeah, it hasn't changed anything in terms of what we've done, but it's just helped understand the way he is.
Do you remember in the episode when Sonia was like, you've got ADHD? To you?
Was it she?
Yeah. Do you remember that?
I thought it was I thought it was like dyslexic or something. I thought she went somewhere.
No, you're not dyslexic.
No, I know. I thought I felt like she misdiagnosed me in some way.
In the episode. I haven't actually done that test. I wonder whether I have challenges like concentrating when other people are talking or interrupting. Doc Brown is like, you just asked me that question 5 minutes ago and now you're asking me that question again.
Yeah, that's just men, I think.
I think it is, eh?
Yeah.
Maybe that is just
me.
Listen. You do have
listen.
to.
You got to listen. Anyway, I think that was a successful segment. I look forward to the next one. The next thing I was
Speaking of men.
Yes, that is a good seg. You're the king of segs.
I love segs.
You like segs. So we got sent a document last week by the good folk at Movember, who've been putting together the most comprehensive report on the state of men's health in New Zealand today. It's called The Real Face of Men's Health. And it's the tagline is that 2 in 5 men are dying prematurely, often from causes that are preventable, treatable, or manageable. And I've sort of highlighted 5 of the most, alarming or the most grabbable stats we can talk about. So one is 42% of men in New Zealand die before 75, most from preventable causes. Māori die prematurely at over 2 times the rate of Pākehā men. Suicide is the 3rd leading cause of premature male death. 3 in 4 suicides are men. Rural men have a 37% higher risk of dying than urban men. And men's poor health costs New Zealand $917 million last year from just 5 preventable conditions.
It's quite hectic, isn't it? That first one jumped out at me, like 42% dying before the age of 75. So statistically, I've lived, like I'm on the downward, like there's less life ahead of me than I've actually lived right now, which is a real smack in the face if you kind of paint the picture like that. There was, and Jay mentioned it before, like about booking an appointment in with his GP and having a good relationship with your GP. Do you go and see your doc?
I don't have a relationship with a GP.
Yeah, no, you've got Dr. Tama around the corner.
Well, yeah, but he's not my doctor. He's just a neighbour who's a GP.
Who happens to be a doctor.
I do have a good relationship with a doctor.
Yeah, but like that was something that I have started doing is like checking in and going for like an annual warrant of fitness every year. But I've sort of let that slide a little bit. But then when you get hit with a stat like that, it's like, oh shit, I really should be starting to take that seriously. When you throw in like Māori, and I'll throw Pacifica in there as well. Like I was looking at, like watching something about the coronary heart rate of like Pacifica men is super higher than Pākehā men. And I was like, oh shit, that's me as well. Not exactly an absolute picture of health, but I've made steps to get better at it. But then it's, you kind of, when the stats are presented to you like that, it's like, ooh, okay, get a finger on the pulse of what actually is going on. In Jay Reeve's words, your carcass.
Yeah, the location one was interesting to me too. Rural men, 37% higher risk of dying early. And in this report, which we'll sort of link to, you can see the regions that the death rate, the preventable death rate is higher. And it's, being isolated, right? And it reminded me when we went to Invercargill.
I was going to bring Invercargill up.
Yeah. And it's a huge issue with farmers and being out on your own and not being surrounded by a support network or friends or what have you.
Yeah, I was chatting to a friend from the rural community about that as well, and she was like, well, yeah, because a lot of the time we're working on our own, so it would be natural to be listening to music or listening to podcasts, and it is brought home that definitely that Invercargill trip, I was sort of thinking, well, I doubt farmers would listen to Between Two Beers, but I stand to be corrected, and was very much corrected by the amount of people that were like, yeah, when I'm out in the tractor and I'm out in the paddock, I'll be listening to you guys, and it's kind of like, yeah, shit, I didn't. Like, we in an urban centre are lucky. We see each other every day, or you can go and have a coffee with someone. But if you're out in an isolated community, yeah, it's a lot harder to connect the dots with other people.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of the podcast, eh? It's like being part of a conversation, even if you're not contributing. The other one, which, I mean, we've said we're going to talk about it, is being there for your mates when they're going through shit, like checking in on your mates. You're like, the suicide one and the male suicide rate is just off the charts. Like, something needs to be done. And I think the strongest way of talking about it is personal example.
Yeah.
Right? Like, 2018?
Yeah, 18 or 19, when I'd come home from overseas and, yeah, something was just off with me, and we sat around the corner, you, me, and our friend Gav, at a breakfast, and you just asked me straight up if I was thinking. Could you tell that I was off or sad, or what kind of prompted you to ask the question?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't an isolated incident. It was like, there'd been sort of warning signs all over the place. I think you said you'd been drinking in your car the night before in a parking lot or something, in a car park. Something like that. And I was like, oh shit, like, okay. And it was just three of us in a cafe, 3 men. At this stage, this was before the podcast. We didn't really have deep and meaningfuls, we'd sort of scratched the surface. But I don't know, it was just, it seemed like it was like a real, if ever there was a time to check up on your mate, like it was just like alarm bells were going off.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Shay is not in a good place. Like, let's see, where he's at.
It was hectic because, like, I mean, it was a part, like, relief, I guess, of being asked that question. And I was obviously very emotional about it. And you guys were great. But what I probably didn't realize was the other work that was going on behind the scenes, which was you, like, galvanizing our friend group and kind of roping other people in to be like, hey, he's not okay here. And I think you even contacted my brother, and my brother sort of contacted me out of the blue, which I did think at the time was a little bit weird. Like, he might have texted me and just said, hey, are you okay? And I remember where I was when I got the text. I was walking down Peach Grove Road, weirdly. And I might have just fired off like everything's okay, or going through a little bit of a difficult moment. I can't remember what it was. But, yeah, I had no idea that you were, circling the wagons in the background.
Yeah, well, we've got a really strong, and I think the importance of having a really strong friend group, we are lucky to have had one for, decades of close mates. But when you're in that place, you shut down, like I imagine most people do.
Yeah.
So, like, you're not letting anyone in, you're not responding to people. So it's kind of like, hey guys, let's all do whatever you can from different angles, and just let you know that your mates are there.
It's a funny thing being on the other side of it, because that is my default response. If something is if something's off in my kind of person or in my world, I do generally become quite insular and removed, and I tend to stop kind of communicating and messaging. So when you are in that bit where you're kind of like, I just need to be in my own head here, and people are checking in on you, there can be an element of like, fuck, just leave me alone. But also, if you step back and realize the care that is intended with it as well, you realize, oh man, actually that's such a nice safety net to have at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's, it's, I want to say it's good to have that, but it is good to talk about it when we're here, right? Like, the podcast is going well, we're business owners, like, things are moving forward, and to go back to, like, that was a really tricky, difficult time in your life, and you kind of are the example of how you can turn things around.
Yeah, but you say that, but also, like, that's one situation of, like, I mean, there were multiple ones after that again, like with drinking, and eventually coming to the decision of, like, drinking isn't for me anymore. Like, that was 2018. I think I stopped drinking in 2021 maybe. So that's still another 3 years of kind of fumbling around, not really, like, having that moment of being really in the depths, but then popping up slightly and carrying on a little bit, but then having dips, to use the BMX analogy, like those kind of peaks and troughs until you finally sort of start to even out. But it's an interesting experience, like even in the business stuff like we're doing, when I probably didn't ask you if you were okay in the lead up to the ABO recordings that we did in Christchurch, and I had sensed that you were off and that things were tense. And I'd messaged Doc Brown sort of saying, hey, I think I'm just going to prepare for Christchurch because I feel like Stephen is a little bit off at the moment. And I don't know whether you remember it, but we had the Hambassadors recording that week before we went down, and it was like, say one nice thing about the other person that you wouldn't ordinarily say. And I very deliberately said you were a great dad. I thought you were a great dad because I could sense that you were feeling torn and pulled from different areas. And also, I think the other thing in there was, what would I do if we changed lives for a day? And I was like, take Bon away and the kids away for a week away from work. And it was like those two were quite deliberate messaging from me to, in a subtle way, be like, hey man, you're cool, everything's good, like lift your head a little bit, without actually doing the overt ask a question that you did to me. Yeah. Which is, I guess, slightly different approach from the two of us.
Yeah. If you want more context on this, go listen to the most recent episode of Accidental Business Owners where we talk about it. But I didn't know that I didn't know, like you knew, but I didn't know until one of the chair of our advisory group asked me if I was okay, and then it all came out, and then for the next 24 hours it all came out, and I was like, shit, I'm not okay, but I didn't realize I wasn't okay. It's like
the cafe situation where you asked me if I was okay, and I was like, fuck, people can see. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh shit, I'm not doing a great job of masking it. Like, that's why I asked you before whether you could kind of tell if something was off. And I guess the lesson for people listening with their mates is that, and I think I've said this, can't remember who said it, but if there's something inside that sense that maybe something's off, is like, send the text. I think Haley Holt was always about send the text. Like, if you have an interaction with someone and maybe you come away from it and you think, oh man, there's something slightly off there, but I can't quite put your finger on it. Like, send a text, ask the question. Like,
I got a really cool text in response to that. I got a lot of incredible feedback. Again, people reaching out saying they're here for me, and all that stuff. It was really cool. But yeah, in reference exactly to that, Haley Holt saying send the text. I was thinking about not sending this, but I remembered your episode with Haley, and I'm going to send it. And I'm really grateful you did. And I think of that a lot too. When I'm like, oh, should I message them? Yes, always message them.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. So if you want to find out more, head to Movember.
Yeah. Yep. The report's out. It's pretty detailed. There's heaps of interesting stuff on. The goal of it is to call on the government to invest in a men's health strategy that supports men to live longer and healthier lives, which, it's taking men's health seriously.
So I guess the message from us, just checking in your mates.
Hey. Have we said bin yet?
I don't know.
Oh man, we're killing it.
We've been going well.
Between two bets, we had a payout.
What just happened with your voice?
A payout.
You're going to soldier on without acknowledging it.
I made another winning bet, and we got over the $500 threshold. 5 lucky winners have collected $100 in bonus bets.
Good work, man.
Yeah,
good work.
And we're back at it. Yeah, starting from scratch. Build that tally up.
What are you going to go with this week?
I have got my eye on the English Premier League starting.
It snuck up on me, if I can speak my truth.
Yep.
I didn't realise that it was going to kick off this weekend.
Yes. And Man United are playing Arsenal in the opening round.
Yep. And you're definitely going to go on Arsenal.
Well, Arsenal are the favourites, and Arsenal should win and probably will. But at this stage of our betting cycle, I like going for the long shots. So Man United, I've got Man United at $3.25. On their day, they can do it. Man United to beat Arsenal. First game of the season.
I'm going geographical closeness, and the Warriors women in the NRLW Premiership are playing here in Hamilton this weekend against the Canberra Raiders, who are winless, and I'm backing the Wars 13+.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good bet.
They've gone back-to-back the last.
Good luck to you, because it's been a while since you've won one.
Wow. I thought we were talking about lifting everybody up.
Nope.
Oh, boy. Well, if you are going to bet R18, bet responsibly. And, of course, Between Two Bets brought to you by our great mates at the TAB.
Right. We have a couple of questions from the fun bag this week, and we've had some voice notes sent in.
Yeah, getting traction, isn't it, the old voice note situation? So if you've got something you want to ask us, just
send it in. Voice it in.
Voice it in.
We'll get your voice here on Hambassadors. All right, here we go.
Guys, love the show. Just wondering, when was the last time a guest told you something that genuinely changed your mind?
Shay?
Well, Haley Holt springs to mind as one, but seeing as we've already referenced that, I'm going to go with Rowan Simpson, and I know he borrowed this concept from somebody else, but Rowan Simpson talking about like the 5 areas of your life and only being able to focus on 3 of them. Because I think I probably operate a situation where I think I can kind of juggle everything and often things fall out the bottom. But if you haven't listened, the 5 areas he talks about are friendship, work, family, health, and sleep. Now, family for me is kind of a non-negotiable. I think that's one that's always there. But then I oscillate between the other 4 and often don't do them very well. Friendship is always the first one I think that drops out the bottom, which is a bit of a shit thing to kind of say. Sleep is the thing I think that holds everybody or everything together. I know you got strong feelings about good sleep. And then work and kind of fitness are the 2 as well.
So what are your 3 right now?
Right now,
What's your number 1?
family.
Yeah. What's your number 2?
Right now,
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. What's your number 3?
Right now,
Yeah.
probably staying, health.
Is it? Yeah. How
Probably.
many hours of sleep did you get last night?
Not enough. I went to bed at 9. I went to sleep. I went to bed at 9.
Yeah.
I went to sleep around 11.
Yeah. What time did you get up?
I first stirred at 5:30 a.m.
Oh, okay. 6.5. You're on the cusp.
What about you then, if we're talking sleep?
Well, yeah, no, I think
Sleep
that's one that I've evolved on over time, that sleep is the thing that holds it all together. And I have really prioritized early bedtime. So I was in bed at 8:15.
But you're also going family too, right? You're prioritizing family right now.
I'd go sleep, family and work. And friends have taken a back seat. It's so true. Like, you just don't have time. Like, on weekends, I have a choice between hanging out with family. I've got 4 kids, all fun ages to hang out with, and my wife. Or you go and do something with your friends, and then you don't get that time. So it is a very deliberate choice. With work quite busy, sometimes we will catch up with people sporadically through the week, which is kind of it. And then golf is the outlet where I actually might hang out with someone for a couple of hours. But yeah, sleep, family, work.
Yeah, nice.
Health. Yeah, no, health takes.
It's shit, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, I want health too.
Especially when we've just spoken about like men's health as well, and you're kind of like, oh man,
yeah,
jeepers. Maybe I should stop talking to my family.
For me, and it's a bit of a tease for our epic guest we've got coming up on next week, is Simon Barnett. So during that trip to Christchurch, we recorded some accidental business owners, and we went down to record with Simon. And this was such an epic, I have written down here, blockbuster episode. So Simon doesn't do interviews. I think in his sort of 40-year career, he's done one, which was with Duncan Garner after his wife passed. Other than that, he's a very private guy. And we had him for 2 hours, and man, it was all of the words powerful and raw and just like incredibly good, full of wisdom. His wife passed just under 2 years ago, and he's still figuring his life out. And in that episode, he spoke about how when he was 30, he was primetime TV. He was Mr. Primetime. He had all the TV shows. He had everything. And he left it all. He walked away from it all to be in Christchurch with his 4 kids. He's like, that was the most important thing. And we kind of, by the end, we unpack like what an incredible decision that was. All his girls live really close to him in Christchurch. And just throughout that whole trip, really, just with everything that's going on in that episode, it made such a strong impression on me that when we got home, I turned my phone off Friday afternoon until Sunday. Just the phone was off and didn't come back on. And I've done that every weekend since. That was like 4 weeks ago. So every Saturday the phone is off. Sunday I might come into work to do a couple of hours. Other than that, like the phone is off. And being more intentional and focused and present with the kids and family has been an absolute game changer. And it wasn't anything directly he said. It was just the messaging throughout just stuck with me. And I'm sure it's going to do the same with their audience. So can't wait to get that one out.
And that sort of speaks to that 3 out of 5 focus areas, right? That you've gone right into that kind of family and focusing on the family and the sleep thing. It's all intertwined.
All intertwined. Right, I've got one more question.
If you could hear the uncut, unpublishable version of one guest's story, whose would it be?
I feel like they've got an answer in mind that they want us to say.
The one that jumps out to me out the gates is Jay Reeve, recency bias, and Mark Ellis. I feel like the uncut. I mean, we heard some of the uncut Jay Reeve stories, and they are
and Mark Ellis. We had some uncut Mark Ellis that we had to deal with as well.
I feel like Ridgie kind of told us everything.
Yeah, I don't think he left much to imagine. I mean, he even took some stuff out of that to save himself from himself a little bit.
Those ones stick out for me. Who you got?
I think I'd like to hear more, in a weird way, from Jamie Pinnell. And like
really?
Yeah, I mean, his detailed account of the assault on the hotel is pretty. I mean, it's
graphic.
It's graphic and detailed.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, I would like to kind of understand a little bit more about that world and the things that happen. Like that's kind of my sweet spot. Like I love watching movies about CIA and Navy SEALs and stuff like that.
I imagine the stories Jamie Pinnell could tell if you got uncut access to the things he has seen and done. I don't know. I don't think I would want to know that or see that.
I wouldn't want it from like a perverse kind of a like way of like kind of really get into the detail. I'm just curious about like all of the things that I guess we don't know about that where New Zealand operates, like in that SAS space. Plus, I think if you could get Dr. Alia Bojlova, his wife, in alongside him and like have that conversation going where everybody's guard was down, that would be fascinating.
Be a good room. The other one that sprung to mind is like football stories, like Chris Wood.
Real
dressing room stories
one.
From the biggest names and what's really going on.
We should try and get Woodsy back on the podcast.
That would be planting a seed.
That would be a good idea.
See what you've done there. Very good. So, Girls Get Off episode went out this week, which has been very well received. You had much feedback your end?
Not a lot. It was kind of one that I encouraged my family not to listen to. But what I found interesting is in the comments, kind of like the meeting of like two communities, the Between Two Beers community meets the Girls Get Off community. And then hopefully the Girls Get Off community finding some new episodes in our back catalogue that they might be more interested in.
I haven't listened back to it, but I just remember laughing a lot.
There's a lot of
second half. There's so many good gags and innuendos.
There's a lot of double entendres in there.
Yeah. Awesome girls.
And then a sharp 180 next week to Simon Barnett, which you've already indicated is going to be, I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, me too. It's such a cool episode and I just can't wait to share a story with you all. So I hope you enjoy. It's been Hambassadors.
Yeah, maybe next one we're in the new studio.
We are.
Shout out to cameraman Sam for setting up Studio B.
Hey, shout out to Muzz Rose who gave me a killer haircut this morning too.
Yeah, I need to go and see him.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy.